So today's my Wednesday upload. Yeah, I'll insert some of that clapping noise here, hopefully. If not, this part will be deleted. Anyway, today's video topic is real estate in New York. So I don't know if people know, but I am a real estate agent here in New York City, and I am also a notary public here in the great state of New York City. And I wanted to touch on my topics are going to be kind of random now because I do want to insert um, some some things about real estate because I love it. I should work harder, but I do. I love real estate. I love the hassle, the hustle, the bustle, the people, failed, the failings, and the because it always comes with the hooray at the end. It's like it's like a true roller coaster. So I did want to talk about that. First order of business, I think I won't talk about how to become an agent at this point. I watch a lot of videos about renting apartments in New York and how hard it is and how it's just really not an easy really not an easy task. So I kind of wanted to touch on that. I do want I watch videos of a lot of gurus and YouTubers who actually live in New York, and they have these $7,000 luxury apartments and this sort of thing. And I just don't, and I see in the comment sections of these videos like, oh my God, how can you get this? How do you afford this? How do you this? How do you that? And I definitely want to say, like, anything is attainable here in the great state of New York City. I mean, anything is attainable everywhere, but I mean, here in the great state of New York City, it's really attainable. And however, I don't want people to get discouraged, to feel like if they're not living in a new condo unit with elevators and washers and dryers and all these things are luxury in New York. Okay, like, there is room here for everyone. Like, every person can actually rent an apartment here in New York. So I just don't like to see the everyday person who works and just get discouraged because it's very hard finding an apartment in New York. So there's three main factors that obviously plays a factor of here renting in New York, and to me it seems like it's getting like that everywhere. And the number one thing is obviously, and you if you live in New York, it's your credit. Uh, it should not be a deterrent for a landlord, but it is. There's ways around it. Call me. There's ways around it. However, most landlords, 90% of landlords want you to have a credit score of at least 650 and above. Right now, it's looking more like 680 um, and above, and that's just what it is. That's just what we become to for whatever reason. Landlords have decided that if this person is horrible in paying their gap charge card back, they will not pay their rent. That's just the mindset. We've all become a number at this point. No one cares about if you were in a hospital or if your husband lost his job. They just don't care about it anymore. New York is actually trying to combat that with passing a law that landlords cannot look into your credit reporting anymore. Now, when that law is going to be passed, we can't say, but at least they're actually looking into it, and I think it's a fair thing to do. So, getting your credit prepared for renting in New York, it's like almost like buying a home. It's actually worse than buying a home. I've seen lenders loan people $200,000-300,000 to buy a home, whereas if they're going to rent, they've been turned down. Uh, but again, there's ways around this. Call me, shameless plug. There's ways around this, but actually preparing your credit is kind of easy. Like, I don't want people to think preparing your credit is some hard, daunting task. Most people, when I pull their credit report, they're like, my credit is bad. And I pull it and I'm like, yeah, no, it's really not that bad. Like, it's really not that bad. Unfortunately, people only see their number and they do not see what's actually on the credit report. So when they look at the number, they go, "Oh, it's bad." And I'm like, "Listen, if you take off $2,000 of this debt, it'll just shoot right up. That's a bag. Like $2,000. I've witnessed people blow $2,000. We've all witnessed people blow $2,000 on sneakers, Louis Vuitton bags. Like, stop looking at the number and actually look at what you have to do in order to bring the number up. That is like my first bit of advice to people, like to renters who are looking to rent or who are looking to buy. Anyone in general, do not look at the number. Get a full credit report, all 3 credit reports, because you never know who your landlord is going to pull from, and figure out how to pay off what's on the credit report versus the number of the credit report. That's very, very important, because when landlords look at the credit report, they look at not only the number but the debt that's on it. So you can have a lower number, but if they see, it's just, a $300 Gap bill and maybe a $500 Macy's card, sometimes they will give you an opportunity to pay that off. And so yeah, so that's number one. Number two, landlord tenant court here in New York is like having a felony on your record. Period. It's like having a felony on your record. You could have been in landlord tenant court because the landlord did not want to fix your leaky water heater. To a lot of landlords, it looks like a problem. They don't, again, just like the credit report, they do not look at um, the dynamic of the landlord tenant court issue. They just see it's landlord tenant court, and automatically you become a problem. Um, this is easy to prove, if it was your landlord's fault. However, the next landlord don't want to just don't want to deal with it. I would advise people, and I know it's a very, very hard decision, before, especially now, and you're in your 20s, and you just lost your job, and you can't afford your apartment anymore. Do not allow a landlord to take you to landlord tenant court. Just move. And I know it's a difficult decision because you're like, what do you mean just move? I don't have anywhere to go. But trust me, you know, find find somewhere to go, put your stuff in storage, because when you're in your 30s, this is going to affect you. Unfortunately, it's going to affect you, and you're going to notice that it's going to affect you even more because now you have kids, possibly husband, and something that you did in your 20s is going to affect you in your 30s, and it's just not worth it. It is really, really not worth it. Landlord tenant court is one of those things where we don't have any way to kind of get it expunged off your record, or it's there. I mean, it's there, and unfortunately, I have witnessed people who have great credit, and then they had a landlord tenant court issue because 10 years ago they couldn't afford to pay the rent, and now they're making 150 k a year, and they're these great people, and they have this family now, and the landlord's like, no, that's a problem. No, no, no. So why didn't they move out? They should have just moved out. When they couldn't afford to pay the rent, they should have just moved out. And they look at that as a headache. So to me, honestly, it's worse than having a felony on your record, because they can't discriminate against you for having a felony, but they do discriminate against you for, landlord past tenancy issues. That's a big, no. Okay. The third and final thing is the income to rental ratio. So the best way I can break this down for you, and these figures are not correct, but here in New York, most landlords want 40 times the rent. And here's what that means. 40 times the rent is, if your rent is $1,000, which $1,000 is what the going rate for a room here in New York. If your rent is $1,000, you need to make $40,000 a year, and that's just the end all be all of it. So if we multiply that by 2, if your rent is $2,000, you need to make $80,000 a year. And it has to be provable and verifiable income. Now I know that you're like, girl, we are not making that kind of money. And believe me, I know. But that is just the standard here in New York. Again, there there are other ways around that. Call me. Um yeah, but you know, when I'm saying there's other ways around that, when people don't meet those three things with an A, if they don't have good credit, they have landlord tenant court issues, and they don't make the income, there's things that you have to sacrifice. There are definitely things that you have to sacrifice. Number one, when I have people that have all three of those trepidations, all three of those issues, they're very, very picky. I'm not living here. I'm not living over there. Are you crazy? That's close to. I'm, I'm like, girl, I found you a place. Okay? I found you a place because you have nowhere to go. And granted, I would not place anyone where I wouldn't live. However, however, if I am in a situation with kids, a dog, and I have limited amount of resources, there's just some things that have to fall by the wayside. So if I can't get the apartment with the brand new renovated kitchen, I have a roof over my head and I have someplace to live. I have someplace to reside, put my bag down, my keys down, and we function in this, in this place. I try to stress to people, you're not buying here. You're just renting. Get yourselves together, and then in the next 2 years, you'll probably be able to buy if you do what you're supposed to do. But my biggest issue is always people who have all of these different trepidations about the credit and this sort of thing. People who come to me with everything in order, it's smooth. They're like, yeah, this is perfect. I love it. Let's go. Let's do a lease. Let's put the deposit. It's people who have, issues that are the hardest to kind of place, simply because in their head they're feeling like, and I get it. A person feels like, I'm already in this situation. I'm already, dead broke. I'm already, you know, barely making it, and now you're just trying to throw me in a rat hole. And listen, and I totally get it, but I feel like where I live is my sanctuary, and I have to adjust. I would adjust to that. Like I seriously would adjust to it versus going to the shelter or something, or something like that. I don't know. It's just me and my opinion. Um, Another thing is brokers fees. In New York, agents get 15% of the annual rent. Now I haven't did the math, um, and I don't have a calculator, but you can figure it out. So say for instance, again, if your rent is $1,000 times 12 times 15%, you do the math. A lot of people do not want to pay the broker's fee. It's just, I get it. I hated to pay broker's fees too, but I get it now. Being an agent, I get why you have to pay broker's fees. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work trying to place a person in a rental property. It's not easy. If you do not have a lot of landlords on your list, management companies who are just like, yeah, let them in. Like it's difficult. It's a lot of work. And again, it's mainly the people who can't really afford it. They can't really afford to pay to move, let alone pay brokers fees. The great thing about New York is there is help with brokers fees. So I advise everyone to go down to PA and get some help with the brokers fees. There's different organizations, Catholic charities. There's different places you can go if you're in need of, brokers fees and deposits and certain things like that. So I do advise people to do that. Being an agent here is very, very hard work. And broker's fees are not a reward. I'm being paid for my job. You wouldn't want to go to work every day and your boss tells you, you know what? I thought about it. I don't like the amount of money that I paid you last week, so I'll pay you something different. You would not like that. You're like, wait a minute, I put in all this hard work, and I'm going to tell me like you don't want to pay that. I've had people tell me, so I met this guy, and cool guy, make 150K a year, good guy. He goes, oh, you're an agent. I said, yeah. He said, well, maybe you can help me find an apartment. So I go, okay, 15%. It's like 15%. My agent now is charging me a month. I said, so why is he still helping you look for an apartment? Yeah, 15%. And I found him an apartment. The thing about it is that there's agents who charge a month, and I get it. It's fine. You can charge a month, especially in the Bronx. A lot of agents charge a month. I'm a Bronx agent now, but I predominantly worked in Manhattan at some point. But now, because I live in the Bronx, it's just I'm starting to like the Bronx. Don't tell anyone. So now I'm a Bronx agent. I And a lot of Bronx agents only charge a month, a month's worth of rent because they feel like people can't afford it. However, there's gentrification that's coming into the Bronx. In case you don't know, it's here, and yeah, it's 15%. Bottom line, it's 15% because you have to split it. We do not take home the full 15%. Say for instance, I find an apartment, but it doesn't. It's not our management company or some management company I know. I have to split it with another agent, so that's already half that's gone. And then whatever deal I have with my broker, I have to split it with her. So your $3,000 broker's fee, I'm probably walking away with $1,200. So I am not getting the full scope of the $3,000. We do not live like agents in New York do not live like $1 million listings. I mean, there are those agents. I want to be one of those, but right now I'm not. And 90% of the agents I know do not live like the $1 million listings. That's just it. We make enough money to survive at some point, and then we thrive, and then it's always an upward, hopefully an upward battle. Most agents, within a year, they're done because they don't see any money and they have to go back to work. And I totally understand that. So when you get your rental check, um, or your broker's fee, you've definitely worked for that broker's fee. I know I've worked for that broker's fee. So, yeah, and I want to quickly touch on the voucher system program here in New York. We have a lot of vouchers that are city funded, unlike federal funding, kind of like Section 8, HUD, that sort of thing. We have things here that's called City FEPs. There was one called Link. All these things are, um, are funded by the city itself, or the state, I'm sorry. No, no, no. Actually, it's the city because a lot of these vouchers you can't take out of the city of like the five boroughs. But anyway, um, we have tons of people who qualify for these things. However, I need to stress to people that the amount of money that the city is paying for rent is to put it in layman's terms, it's too low. It does not meet market rent, which is why it's difficult for people who have these city vouchers and link vouchers to find housing. This was a thing that the landlord started to do. You cannot deny someone if they have certain vouchers because it's just against the law. It's discrimination. So what they started to do was when they realized that if you're one single person, the city will pay $1,200 or something like that in rent for you. So the landlord said, so I can't tell them no, so I'll just raise the rent. So now that $1,200 apartment has become $1,400 and you're automatically priced out. So now they don't have to tell you no because you're automatically priced out. Um, so when people look at it, they're like, but I have a voucher and they'll get paid for the year, and that's crazy. Why would they turn it down? A lot of landlords just feel like it's just too much of a hassle. Of course, you have the stigma that comes along with voucher systems and all of that stuff, and it's such a shame because I've helped place um, great people in program apartments and stuff like that. I just had a message from a young lady, and I'll call her name. Her name is Brenda, and she just texted me. She said, "Thank you so much, Trinez, for finding this place for me. Thank you so much." And I told her, I was like, "Listen, because she's on a good path, I'm like, listen, your thank you means nothing. Just like stay on the path that you're on. And in 2 years, you come to me, and when you're ready to buy." So there are some landlords, mostly private landlords, homeowners who are willing to accept them. Again, a lot of times, the tenant themselves, they don't. Oh, if my landlord lives there, I don't want to live there. I don't understand why. Because people feel like, I think people feel like, oh, the landlords are nosy. They don't want you to do this. They don't want you to do that. Well, of course not, because they own their home, and they want to keep it up to the best of their ability. Like they don't want you coming in tearing their shit up. So anytime I have people who say, "Oh, if the landlord lives there, I don't want to live there," I automatically just drop them as a client because there's something that, to me, there's something that you're doing that that might be a little scandalous. So I'm not gonna run around and try to help you find a unit. And plus, you probably, yeah. Again, it's those picky people. Anyway, this video has run long enough. If you have any questions, drop them down below. And I'll put my phone number down there. I don't care. People say you put your phone number on the internet. Well, girl, that's how I get my business. Okay. So yeah, drop all your questions down below, and if I can be of any service or assistance to you in this matter, this real estate matter, because I get some crazy requests. If I can, be of any assistance to you, do not hesitate to call, text, drop the comment down below. And yeah, so I'm so sorry this video is so long. I didn't even think it would be this long, but I tried to give informative information, I guess, but it ran on and on and on. But I do this all over the phone with people, and I guess they're like, this lady is obnoxious. But I really just want to touch bases on everything. That way, when you walk away, you'll walk away feeling like, oh wow, I've learned something, or I'm refreshed from something, or whatever. So again, thank you for watching the video. Bye.